We are talking about when should my side gig become my main gig? Now, this is a question that is definitely up in the top 5 asked questions that I get from software developers and entrepreneurs all the time. You know, they'll tell me, hey, Jerome, I have this app, I have this startup I've been working on. I'm at the point where I'm making money, reliably making money. Should I quit my full-time job and focus solely on this venture? So we're going to break it down. And also, just while before we get into the topic, let me remind everybody to like and share this video, because we do have the phone lines open tonight. You see right here on the top of the screen is the call-in number. At any given point in time, feel free to call in. I'm going to go ahead and share this on Twitter and Facebook right now while we're talking. But basically, there is no simple answer to this question. I'm going to break down the different pros and cons of leaving your main gig, your main line of work, to focus solely on your side gig. So we're live. Come join the conversation. All right. So, like I said, this is definitely a question that is asked very often in my social media circle. Not only is this question asked of me to a lot of people. Oh, I just realized I wasn't even live on Facebook. Oh no, I was live on YouTube but not on Facebook. I'll have to go back and edit this video. But all right, everyone who's joining me on Facebook, sorry about that. I just rambled on for a couple minutes talking about what I'm going to be talking about today in our tech talk, but didn't realize I still had it on the preview button, and I didn't actually hit live. So sorry about that for everyone who's watching on YouTube. I'm gonna have to hear this over again. So today on this tech talk, we are talking, when should my side gig become my main gig? This is a question that I get asked a lot. It's definitely my top 5 my top 5 as far as questions asked of me. Different developers and entrepreneurs ask me this. They DM me, email me, what have you. But it's definitely something that needs to be explored, right? Because if you are a lot of software developers are also entrepreneurial. You know, they want to be able to live and make money off of their apps, which is, I think that's every developer's dream, or most developers anyway. So I'm going to break down the pros and the cons of leaving your main gig to focus on your side gig. And it's something that is not a straightforward answer. And I don't want you to make any final decisions based on anything that I have to say if you are a developer that is on the fence of leaving your main gig to pursue your startup or app or what have you. You know, this doesn't just apply to software developers either. It's a general entrepreneurial advice that I'm giving, but I'm coming from the focus of tech entrepreneurs, specifically software entrepreneurs. So, you know, you have an app, or this tends to be a common scenario that I hear. You're like, hey, Jerome, I have an app. I've monetized it. I'm at this point where I'm actually making money. It feels great. I can pay bills. It's providing great supplemental income right now, but I really want it to become my full-time job. Should I leave my current position where I'm making X amount of money and focus on my side project, or focus on my startup? And I always tell them the same answer, and that is, it depends. It depends on a lot of factors. First of all, and don't forget, everyone, I do have the phone lines open. The phone number is up at the top of the screen. Feel free to call in or ask questions. I'm streaming on Facebook and YouTube right now. I was trying to get on Twitter and or Periscope rather, and Twitch, but been having some difficulties getting that set up on my end. I think this thing has to do with my connection. But I tell them it depends. It depends on a variety of factors. First of all, what is your base cost for living? I tell people, when you decide to pursue the startup life, and this is going to be your full-time endeavor, your what's it called? Not a cost of living, value of life. Your value, you're gonna have to cut back. Is basically what I'm saying. You're gonna have to cut back. You're not gonna be able to do the things that you were doing when you were consistently making a paycheck. I mean, you can, but it's gonna cause even more stress than what it's worth. Trust me, I'm telling you from experience. So you need to basically make a list of what are the things that you cannot live without, and tally up that amount. Like, for example, your rent. You have to pay your rent. It doesn't matter what job you have or how you're making your income. You're still gonna have to have a roof over your head. So you have two options, right? You can either, if you decide that you're going to pursue this startup full time and leave your main gig, if you are confident enough where you have enough to pay your operating cost and pay your rent, then you can stay where you're at. Or if you have money saved up or whatever, you want to live off capital, you could do that as well. Or you can, what a lot of entrepreneurs do, move back in with your parents and get rid of your place and save that operation cost. So these are the types of decisions that you have to make. So you have so let's say you decide you want to live on your own. You don't want to move back to mom and dad's basement. You want to be independent. So you have your rent. Most likely you're gonna need your internet. You need a phone. You need electricity. Obviously, you need water. Let's assume I'm gonna base me because I work from home and I don't drive unless I absolutely need to. So a full tank of gas literally might last me a month. So let's say you're like that. You do Amazon for all of your stuff, have delivered or what have you. So you don't really drive much. So let's just say you don't have a car. Let's see, that's that food, or you have to pay for food. You got internet, water, electricity, phone. Let's just keep those. All right. So is your startup making enough money where it can pay for the cost of the startup? Like, for example, your server fees. If you're renting like an AWS or a DigitalOcean server, any hosting fees that you might have to pay, any licensing fees that you might have to pay in your app if you have to pay licensing fees. Is your app making enough money where it can pay for all the operation costs for the business and pay the base cost for your living? And can it do it reliably? And when I say reliably is how long has it been producing on average this amount of money for, let's say 6 months. I really would say a year, but 6 months can be, you can do it after 6 months if you're really confident. Let's say all that together comes up to $1,000. That's just being very generous, but just for the sake of easy numbers, let's say $1,000. So is your app making at least $1,500 a month? Because what I tell people is your income from your app needs to be 150% of whatever your operation and living costs are. So, I mean, that's just my rule. Some people do it differently. But if your app is reliably making $1,500 a month and it's been doing so for the past 6 months without fail, then I would say, hey, if you're comfortable with understanding that you're going to be making just enough money to live. You're not going to be having a whole bunch of extra money to, go out and party and mismanage your funds or what have you, because this is your lifeline now. If you're comfortable living like that, then, by all means, take that risk and jump forward. Ty Mo on YouTube has asked 2 questions. 1, do free Android apps make any money? And then 2, does it count on the downloads? Free Android apps make a ton of money. You know what? Let's look up the numbers because I like receipts. How much money does the top free Android app make? And most likely it's a game that probably makes that money. Whoo! All right. Okay. So I'm looking at an article from Huffington Post, and the title is "How much money how much money top 50 free mobile apps actually make?" Okay. This week I got hold of all the statistics. Blah 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 blah. The top, I got that installed, premium version. Whew. Okay, so Pandora makes like 4 to 6 billion. Is a $4.6 billion company. That app is free. It makes about Outfit 7, the maker of the famous Talking Tom. Okay, it makes $12,500 per day. That's a free app. Is that if that sort of answers your question? Clash of Clans makes the highest daily revenue of all the apps on the list. To repeat their success, one should cease number crunch. Blah blah blah. Okay, how much do they actually make? They said it makes the most. Okay, $167,984 a day. Clash of Clans makes. So yeah, free apps make a lot of money because there's multiple ways to make money. Well, in that purchase, but that's still. So what do you mean, like apps that are strictly ads only? Because even those apps make a ton of money if they're used a lot. So this actually, I was going to bring this up later in the video, but I'm glad you brought it up. So when I was in college at the University of Kentucky, there was a classmate of mine who, one day, what if you were offering service like offer up and let go? Oh man, those kind of, I'll get to that question in a minute. Let me finish this tangent story, and then I'll answer your question about SaaS apps. So I had a classmate at the University of Kentucky, and one day we just got talking about what we do for a job. And at this point, I was doing a side, I was apping on the side, but I was doing the computer tech work at the University of Kentucky. So I asked him, what do you do? And he's like, I actually have 5 apps that I've monetized on Android, and that's how I make my living. And I was like, I got interested. I was like, if you don't mind, what do your financials look like? How much are you making to sustain? And he's like, make about $900 to $1,000 per app, and I have 5 of them, so I'm making $4,500 to $5,000 a month just on my applications, and that's about $60,000 a year. So that's definitely live offable. Now I know he does some I don't know where he works, but you know, I know he does some development work. So now that money is supplemental money to him while he still has the main gig, which I don't fault him for. Now, Tymo, you asked another question. You said, what about if you're offering services like OfferUp and LetGo? So these apps, they make a ton of money. And the reason for that is because they operate on a percentage basis. So, you know, when you sell something like on LetGo, I don't know what the percentage is. I gotta look it up, but I'm gonna be lazy and not. But when you sell on LetGo, let's say they take 5%, okay? They take 5% out of each purchase. So let's say you sell something for $100, then you get $95 and LetGo gets $5. Either that or they do a subscription basis. So, you know, they don't take any fees out of your sales, but you pay X, you know, let's say $19.99 a month to be a seller. So, you know, that's how they usually do it. But so my app, Treat Me at Home, we work on that model. You so instead of taking it's still taking a percentage out, but we actually add our service fee on top of what the service provider is charging. That way, when the percentages work out, we get our fee, which is 5%. And then the provider, they get their full amount. So we just pass the service charge onto the end customer. So if you wanted to make $100, we would end up charging the user, it would be like $108. So after all of the fees are taken out from Stripe, plus the fees that Treat Me at Home take out, it'd be like $5 to Treat Me at Home, $3 to Stripe, $100 to the service provider. So those are the multiple ways that you can go about doing it that way. Did I answer that question? Let me know if I answered that in a clear way. And I appreciate you for the questions though in the comments. Exactly what I want. If you guys are enjoying, we see we got between Facebook and YouTube, we got a few people watching. Go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that share button. But Tymo, you said you have an idea for an app. Do you plan on writing the app yourself or partnering with someone to have the app written? But what was the last thing I was saying before we went on this tangent of free apps making money? Yeah, so you know, if you're making $1,500 a month, I would say, you know, at that point it's your call. If you're making $3,000 a month, then I would say, you know, I would reliably be comfortable with leaving my job to work on this full time if it has room for potential. Actually, let me get my notes right here real quick. Oh no. All right. So, you know, I'm going to ask you, you know, like how much money a year are you making? And based off, and how much are you paying basically to live? What is your time to income ratio for the app? If you have to put in, if you have to put in 100 hours a week into an app that brings you $1,000, but its income potential or its life expectancy for the app is only $2,000 up to $2,500 a month, and the life expectancy for the app is 3 to 5 years. You're only talking like $25,000 a year for 3 to 5 years. That's not necessarily worth putting in that time and effort. what I would do, and I've done this before, is if you have an app that takes a lot of time, but it is bringing profit, but the time to income ratio doesn't make sense business wise, I tell people to sell that app. Go to websites like flippa.com and you can sell your apps. Because here's the thing, you know, developers in Southeast Asia, developers in India, you know, in places like this in Latin America, they'll buy apps from American developers that make $1,000 a month, because when you convert that to their currency, they're making guap. So, you know, that's life-changing amounts to them, and they'll gladly auction and buy those apps. And I know, because like I said, I've done it. Well, Timo, you said that you need my help. Well, let's talk about it offline. I'll put my email in the chat real quick, and feel free to send it, you know, send it to me. What do you guys think of the video animation? You know, one of my followers made this, and I love it. I think it's dope. Oh, and also I got a new banner too, in case you guys haven't noticed. Anyway, I'm going off topic. So, and here's another thing too. If you're working at a job and you're making $50 an hour, or you're making $100,000 a year, and you have an app that's bringing in an extra $1,000, $2,000, would it be? See, I would tell you to make some more apps also, because I'd rather have 10 apps that make $1,000 than having one app that makes $10,000. And why is that? That is because if I have 10 apps that make 1,000 and one of them fails, I'm still making $9,000 a month or what have you. If I have only one app that makes $10,000 and it fails, I'm now making $0 a month. Do you get me? Having multiple streams of income is the #1 way to build wealth. And we live in an era where we have 20-year-old tech companies that are worth trillions of dollars. So it's very plausible to have, you know, apps that make $100 to $1,000. So I implore people to be serial entrepreneurs. You don't have to. I feel like too many people want to have that monolithic company that makes, you know, millions and millions of dollars. But think about it, man. That's a lot to manage. It's much easier to manage small apps that still make money due to traffic or what have you. Small utility apps that do stuff and do stuff right, than it is that you can manage it as one developer. That's another thing too. I love control. You know, I have apps that I own 100%, have 100% ownership of. However, I don't, you know, they're manageable. I don't have to go get other developers to help me because they're manageable apps. They're easy to extend. If I want to add more, add more functionality, I don't have to like go through a board meeting or anything like that. So that control allows me to make decisions on the fly that will enable me to make more money. Does that make sense? It's much easier for me to make more money because they're smaller than it is for if it were bigger and I was trying to do the same thing. Because I mean, you could always do like, you know, the investor route, or like get credit and do all that. But you know, I'm telling you from personal experience, it is harder, but it is doable. You know, you can make apps by yourself, no credit, on a $5 virtual server and generate income. You know, you can easily be making $100 to $1,000 a month on your online apps or websites, mobile or web applications. So now let's say that, you know, you have your app, or you have your apps, your portfolio of apps, which, you know, I hope it's a portfolio that is giving you your $1,500 a month, and you decide that you're going to just take the risk, and you're going to put in your 2-week notice, and you're going to just focus on maintaining and extending these applications. Now you have to understand that you are running a business. It's no longer a hobby that is bringing you supplemental income. This is now your lifeline. So while you can write an app and it's in a maintenance life cycle, and you don't have to do too much, you know, too many hours. You might spend like 5 hours a month tops to keep it updated and do what you got to do. But you need to make sure that's prioritized. And if you have any extra money left over after your operating expenses and your living expenses are paid, that money needs to go directly back into the business to help it make more money. Because like I said, this is now your lifeline. If you apps that do not evolve, especially apps that make money, if they don't evolve, they end up failing, you know, because people get bored of seeing the same thing. A prime example is Facebook. One of the things I used to hear people complain about is like, oh, Facebook is always has an update like every day or every week or whatever. You know, they complain about it, but at the same time, those frequent updates is the reason why you love Facebook. You just don't want to admit it. Facebook always has something new coming out, and you know, we all have our resistance to it. You know, Facebook's working on mind reading, and people say what they want, but subconsciously they love it. They love the innovation, and it reflects in the stock price. So you have to, you know, another thing I tell entrepreneurs is, you know, a lot of them have this Hollywood image that, you know, once you get the title of entrepreneur and you're your own boss, that you can just immediately go to the Bahamas, the Cayman Islands, and start vacationing, and your apps is going to pay for your existence. And that is not how it works. Now, I do tell people, you know, once you decide to do that, you know, you should take some time and congratulate yourself. Maybe take like a 3 to 5 day vacation. But nah, man, it's a business. Like I said, you are now a business. You have to make sure that your money vehicle, your economic vehicle, thrives and evolves. So if you're not mentally ready, and you have to be honest with yourself, you know if you're mentally ready or not. If you're not mentally ready to put in that work after your application is your full-time employment, then you need to stick to your application being supplemental income and continue with your main gig. Because not having that self-discipline will ruin your business. It'll ruin your app. And you have to also be, and this also includes like rapid success. You know, a lot of companies fail, tech companies fail because they're not able to scale up to demand fast enough. They go through what's called hypergrowth, and then subsequently do hyper decline because they're not able to meet those scalability demands. So there's also, you know, you need to be psychologically ready. You need to be ready in the business sense. You need to be architecturally ready because you never know when your application might go viral. You just never know. I want to do an app like OfferUp, but different. I'm not familiar with OfferUp. I have to check it out. But you know, when you send me an email, you know, why don't you put a link in there and just describe what you're trying to do, and we'll get some. I'll take a look at it, and we'll talk business. Let's see. All right, that's pretty much. We're coming up to the 30-minute mark, and that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this moment. But okay. So I talked about selling your app, right? If your time to income ratio isn't where it needs to, if it doesn't fiscally make sense to keep putting time in there based on the income that you're getting back. But that's not the only reason where you would want to sell your application. You might just want, no problem, Tamo. You might just want to sell it because you're just done with it. You know, maybe it's worth enough where you can sell it, where you can retire. Maybe it's worth enough where you can sell it and then use that capital to fund another venture that you care more about. You know, there's multiple reasons. You know, every app that I've sold was because I just didn't have time to maintain them. So I, you know, just sold them on Flippa. But whatever the reason, you need to know what that reason is before you decide to make that application your full-time commitment, because there always is going to be an exit strategy. You know, if it's an application or, you know, a business that you want to make generational, you want to pass it on to your kids, you know, you may not want to sell it, but you still have an exit strategy. You're still at some point in time going to step down from the company, whether it's voluntarily or involuntarily through death. You know, you're not going to live forever and be at that company forever. You need to always have an exit strategy. And if you don't have an exit strategy for your startup, then it doesn't need to be your main gig. Oh, my mama joined. Hey, mama. I'm joining on the Facebook chat. I got people talking to me on both chats. This is awesome. I like this multicast thing. But where was I? That's pretty much it. You know, this was a short stream. But, you know, long story short, you know, the vast majority of people, I'm going to tell them like, hey, the numbers say that it's that, you know, you should be good. Statistically, you should be good to continue this and make this your full-time commitment if you follow, you know, these practice, you know, this and this practice. But I'm also going to tell people, you know, you can also keep working where you're working. Keep this on the side, and, you know, it can still be a full running company on the side. You know, you can appoint people. If it's making enough money where you can pay someone to manage your app for you, and you can abstract yourself away from the work that's being done, and you might collect less money, but you have more time, then it probably will make sense to do that. And, you know, that's probably the approach that I'm going to end up taking. You know, when my apps are making enough where I could live, just work on these full time, I'm probably going to still consult like I'm doing now and just abstract myself away and pay people to do the designated tasks. And they said the average millionaire has 8 streams of income. It's not hard to, I'm saying it's not hard and that's relative, but it's within the realm of possibility for you to have 8 applications that are bringing in some form of income. And let's stick with the $1,000 mark. $8,000 a month is $100,000 a year. So if you have 8 applications making $1,000 a month, you're making 6 figures. So just keep that in mind. Lastly, I'm going to tell people, how passionate are you about this application that is making money? Because if you're not super passionate about it, it doesn't matter how much money it makes. At some point, you're going to end up being tired of it. And when you become tired of it, and this couples back with the exit strategy, you could seriously screw yourself with your nonchalantness and lack of passion, and mess up your money vehicle. So if it's something that you're not absolutely passionate about, it's just something that's just bringing some extra bread, and keep your main gig and just pocket that extra money, or sell it. If you decide to sell an app, by the way, the general rule is you're going to sell it for 2 to 3 times its yearly revenue. So if you have an app that makes $100,000 a year, you could sell it reliably for about $250,000. Anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000. Most people probably meet you at the middle at $250,000. So that's another thing. If you decide to sell an app, I want you to think how much money you could potentially be losing out on if you were to instead take the money that it's currently making, reinvest it back into the app so it can make more money monthly, thus making more money yearly, thus commanding a bigger sale price. That's also a business tactic. If you have an app that you don't particularly care for, but it's making $2,000 a month, yeah, you can sell it with that $48,000. I was round up to $50,000 a year, so you can sell that for $125,000. Okay, that's cool. You could keep working on it for a year, and then out of $1,000, you're investing, $500 back into the app, hiring some offshore developers or whatever to help you add more functionality or doing marketing, and you increase that $1,000 a month to, or $2,000 a month to $5,000 a month. You can now get what is that? I'm trying to do math in my head when I'm tired, and that's a big no-no. All right, so that's like 60,000 times 2.5. Yeah, so you can get $150,000. So it's probably worth it to go ahead and just take some of that money and pay some developers, abstract yourself from the development process, get your time back, and then make some extra money. It's an extra $25,000 for an investment of $6,000. So that's my 2 cents on when should your side gig become your main gig. If anyone wants to call in, I'm gonna leave the last 5 minutes up for people to call in. The phone lines are open, and the phone number is 502-791-6409. Once again, that is 502-791-6409. Feel free to call up and chat about anything. Maybe you have an app that you currently have and you're looking for some advice on how to monetize it or increase its monetization. Maybe you have an app and you're on the fence of should this be your full-time gig, and you're trying to get some advice, and I can help you with that. Or maybe you have an app, you're thinking about creating an app, and your goal is for it to be your main source of income, but you haven't started coding yet, but you want to go ahead and figure out what's the best way of going about it so you don't waste your time. In either case, phone lines are open. I like this. I like this multicast setup. And yeah, I got the iPad right here with the YouTube. I got the Mac right here with the Facebook. Am I live? I should be live on Twitch as well. I was acting up earlier. Yeah, it says I'm offline. I need to figure out why that's doing that. But oh well. Is there anything else super pertinent? I got a lot of views from the NativeScript Vue tutorial that I started yesterday. You know what's funny is as soon as I ended the stream, the emulator finally popped up with the application. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that's up and running before I start the next series. But yeah, I've got a few comments on both Facebook and YouTube, and you guys seem to like it. I appreciate the feedback. This is something that I am going to definitely continue. 2019, I do plan on putting out more mobile apps because I myself am trying to build more residual income on the side with mobile apps. And while I will always be a tried and true web developer, and I believe in progressive web apps, for the sake of monetization right now, everything is still mobile apps. So can't argue with what the data says. So I need to be putting out some mobile apps. So you're gonna be seeing a lot more. You'll be seeing a lot more of content coming from me. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get off here. Today is Thursday, so I will not be streaming tomorrow. However, I will be streaming again on Monday. If I can end up getting this Twitch and Periscope working, I'm gonna set up my phone to do some IRL streams. I wanted to do some more of that stuff. But anyway, I'm rambling. So for everyone who has joined and who has liked this video, I do ask that you please like and you share this video. And if you have any comments, do not be afraid to drop them below. If you're not following me on social media, tisk, you have to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at MastaShake08, MastaShake08. And also follow my Facebook page, facebook.com/Jerome Parker. You can also head over to my website, JeromeParker.com. I actually have some cool clothing on there. My Code Life series. Actually, where is it? It's all the way over there. I don't feel like getting up and grabbing it. But we have t-shirts and we have hoodies that with the signature #CodeLife logo on them. So if you want to support the channel and have some cool nerd clothing, head over to JeromeParker.com/shop. Once again, everybody, thank you for your time. I really appreciate the interaction that I've gotten tonight from everyone, and I will see you on Monday. Peace.